devil is real. I know. I built his cage.
Command HQ, we got a situation. Move out! Fred! Move out! Lay down suppressive fire! Yeah! I don't know where to go! Yeah! Massive structural damage in Sector 2. Come in. Ah! They're breaking through the walls! Come in! No! No, please! No! Oh! No! Help! Help me!
Hello YouTube, Ultra Mega Mighty. As I'm sure you can tell by now, this is not a review of Final Doom. Not doing that one. No new weapons, no new monsters, nothing really new except the maps. It's basically just a really neat, really hard, giant map pack for Doom 2. Oh look! There! I reviewed it. No, this time I'm looking at Doom 3, the confusingly numbered sequel that's a reboot. It's also a big departure from what the classic Doom games played like. Unlike its predecessors, this one's a horror-themed shooter. Now, don't go misunderstanding that. It's horror-themed. It is not a horror game. Not that this game can't scare you. If you're a first-time player and you don't ever jump, you have nerves of steel and possibly a mental disorder. I'll get to that part in a bit, but let's start, fittingly, at the beginning. Story time! As the game starts, you're once again thrust into the role of Doom Guy, son of Doom Guy, a Marine corporal sent as replacement for one of the Marines on Mars. The very start sees you with no weapons at all and nothing to do but dick around and talk to people. As Sergeant Kelly puts it, you're the ranking FNG, which is fucking new guy, for those of you that don't know. So you get to go after a scientist that went missing. On your way there, you do some more tutorial-style gameplay, which is decently handled. It doesn't feel like they're holding your hand or browbeating you. It's a decent atmosphere-building introduction, but if you're spending time talking to everyone and exploring, it seems to take just a bit too long. So you find the scientist and shit immediately goes bad. How bad? I think a list of things that don't go bad would be shorter. List item 1. You're not dead. List complete. The rest of the main story is fairly basic on the surface. Doctor goes batshit crazy and opens a portal to hell. Almost everyone dies except you because you're fucking awesome. You fight your way through the complex to try and stop him, and eventually you seal the portal to hell, even though the Doctor gets away. Simple. But the story gets much deeper if you bother to really dig. Instead of just keycards, like in the classic games, much of your progress relies on personal data assistants that upgrade your security clearance. These PDAs will have emails and audio logs that have lots of interesting parts of the overall story that fill in the gaps that you aren't given in the main story. They'll also contain access codes to storage lockers found throughout the game that give you all kinds of nifties, like getting weapons earlier than you normally would. It slows the pace of the game down a bit, but it helps build the atmosphere when you load up an audio log and hear an absolutely terrified man filing what he knows will be his last entry. Now from here on, the game feels a lot more like its namesake, but not 100%. And, well, I guess this part would be easier if I just show you the difference.
Repeat, we have negative ID on the assailing force. They're mean SOBs.
The UAC is here to help you. Psychological services are free and confidential.
For a first-time player, this game can be absolutely nerve-wracking. Now, the BFG edition isn't as bad as the original simply because there's a flashlight attached to your suit. It has a battery with a limited lifespan, but it recharges very quickly, so you won't spend too much time completely in the dark. I know it's not the same watching it in this video, and it's not something I can transfer to you, but being in the right mindset playing this game can still startle you at the very least. Or lead to short bursts of panic as you get surrounded and you're scrambling to find a way out, stumbling the wrong way as you try to back away from sudden enemies in your face, and playing like an idiot as you fumble through every weapon but the one you're trying to select. It's not necessarily shit your pants scary, not even close. But I guarantee that even some of the ballsiest gamers out there would hesitate in a few spots. And it really helps that the rest of the game was designed entirely around this horror theme. Everything. The level layout and design, the monsters, even the weapons. The monsters are all reimagined versions of their classic counterparts, with several new ones thrown in. The most disturbing of the bunch is probably one of the new ones, the Cherub. You're introduced to it shortly after hearing a baby crying, and you're all like, I must save that baby! And then you see it, and kill it with fire! Touch me! Fucking die! Upper body of a baby, lower body of a giant fly. That's just lovely. And then, of course, there's no. Oh, and the Arch-Vile got a heavy overhaul and is actually a balanced and fair, but still tough enemy. +1 to whoever did that. The AI was also fairly decent for the time, but there are a few situations where the enemies just... well, they forget how to brain a little bit. Something else you'll notice is that you encounter monsters in far fewer numbers than you would in the classic Doom games. There's a few reasons for that. First, the level design is a bit more cramped and a lot darker than classic Doom. Helps with the horror theme. Second, several enemies fit a sort of specific role in this one, with many more of them being melee only. All the unarmed zombies, chainsaw zombies, demons, maggots, wraiths, lost souls, and tentacle commandos are all melee only. And now that I've said it out loud, Tentacle Commando sounds like it's straight out of a horror-themed hentai. Thank you, Japan. Third, many of these enemies are placed in ways that maximize their ability to fuck you up. Often there are ways to escape a setup like that, if you know the level well enough. But first-time players won't, and they'll have to deal with it as it was intended to be dealt with. And finally, the design of the weapons. Even encountering a small group of 4 or 5 enemies can become a hectic firefight. Unlike the old games, Doom 3's weapons are slightly more realistic. Each weapon has a magazine size and a reserve ammo count, and reloading is deliberate and slow. The magazine sizes are also realistic, and you'll find yourself reloading often. Each weapon, including the new entries, were designed with a specific purpose in mind. Some of them still suck pretty hard, but you'll still find the majority of them useful in the situations they were designed for. Even the chainsaw is useful if you're daring, but there's really no reason at all why your fists should be a weapon. I get that he's a Marine, and is really tough, and is trained in hand-to-hand combat, but look at these guys right here. Look at how fucking big those guys are. They eat Mega Wheaties in steroid milk 15 times a day as a light snack between eating people and sacrificed goats. That is a beastly beast right there. Yeah, sure. You go punch that fucker to death. Good luck with that. Before I move on, one more quick thing about the monsters. The monster roster feels seriously bloated in this game, several of which are enemies that you'll see maybe all of 3 or 4 times, and that's it. Hell, ticks show up once. One fucking time. Why not use trites? They're practically the exact same thing. All the different zombie types, all the different zombie security types, it just feels like it's too much for this game. I personally would have cut a few zombie types, the ticks, and the tentacle commandos. And that still sounds horrible. Tentacle commandos. Think about that. Let that sink in. Tentacle commandos. Before I get away from all that, I need to bring up the most interesting weapon addition, the Soul Cube. You obtain this closer to the end of the game after you've gone through hell. Literally, not figuratively. This thing can one-hit kill any non-boss monster and returns the health of that monster to you. Since damn near everything in the game has over 100 health, you're looking at a full heal pretty much anytime you use it. You have to kill 5 monsters to charge it though, so pick your targets carefully. So let's talk about sound for a minute. The audio in general in this game really helps sell the horror theme. There are lots of really great audio cues throughout the game that help build the general horror aesthetic and work to creep you out. Unfortunately, there's no music to back that up. None. None. That badass menu screen music, hope you really, really like it. Because that's it. There is no other music in the entire game. There are a few bits that are almost music, but I'm not really counting those. I get it, it's an atmospheric choice, but it's still kind of disappointing after some of the truly great music that id had in their previous titles. And I fully believe some of it would have fit nicely in Doom 3, even if it was only played once at certain spots, kind of like Half-Life. You know what? Thanks to the magic of video editing, I can do that. Let's see what that would be like. See? They're totally possible. Of course, all of this would be wasted without level design that takes advantage of all these elements combined. And the level design is both fantastic and terrible. Allow me to expand on that. The game takes place in a single titanic facility on Mars, and the levels reflect that. The problem is, the game takes place in a single titanic facility on Mars, and the levels reflect that. Still not clear, I know, but really, any environment in the game can be lumped into one of 4 categories. High-tech facility, shitty facility, underground, and hell. And that's really it. There are completely unique set pieces in each level, and they're very well designed. While each one looks and feels the same, they're distinct enough that you know you're somewhere completely unique in the facility. It's a blessing and a curse. However, I have to give a solid kudos to id for this design choice. Knowing that a majority of the game would feel the same, they chose to do this and built an entire facility as it would very likely be built in real life. There was no, "we have to build a lava stage because there's always a lava stage" kind of philosophy. And I respect that. So Doom 3 isn't exactly about to get a R.E.G.I.O seal of greatness, but it's still a really good game. Just understand, this is nothing like the classic games. Don't jump in expecting Doom 2 in HD, because you'll just be setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you go in expecting a slow-paced, monster closet-loaded, jump-scare-ridden, horror-themed, first-person shooter, you'll get exactly what you paid for, and you'll be happy with it. Play it in the dark, especially if you're afraid of the dark. And that gut feeling to run to a well-lit area, don't always trust it. Don't trust the room you just cleared to stay that way. Don't trust that you can go back the way you came. Don't trust anything. The moment you trust this game to play fair, you're doomed.